Hi, from the sunny side. I wanted to show you a quick little yoga flow. Nothing extraordinary, just a great way to kind of move some breath and energy around your body. And every morning, but especially maybe if you're off to a rough start or in the middle of the day, whenever you need a little mindful movement in your life, I think this will be helpful. And then I'm gonna kind of talk you through some of the things about it that helped me. So here we go. I'm gonna start in child's pose. You see Bootsy's behind me again, so I'm kind of work around him. This is his world. So wide knees, my toes are touching in the back. I'm gonna melt my way down a little bit. I'm always gonna place my forearms first because for me, it changes the sensation and I like it, and my shoulders and back's really tight right now. So I'm gently gonna lower my head. My forehead's on the mat. It's gonna stay here for 3 breaths. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back. All the while I'm paying attention to how my body feels, like everything, how my quads are feeling, how my hamstrings are feeling, how my shoulders are feeling, my hips. You see kind of through here, I'm gonna place my toes down and I'm gonna push my hips back for kind of a down dog position. So in this position, my goal is I push hard from the palms, not from the palms, sort of the end of the palms. I'm gonna look for a position, wide or narrow, that works for me in this moment. I'm pushing my shoulders back, my hips back right now. My low back's tight, my hamstrings are tight. So my heels are not touching the ground here. If you can, that's awesome. I can't right now. And then I'm just gonna kind of pedal my feet because it feels really good. And I'm gonna move my feet up a little closer, playing with the movement, keeping tension, kind of being meticulous about the movement at this point. And then immediately I notice that on my left side, my heel is touching the mat. On my right side, it's not. So I'm paying attention to everything. And then I'm gonna come down, I'm just gonna drop my knees, put my toes behind me, and go into child's pose again. Breathing deeper into my belly each time. And again, I'm gonna stay here for 3 breaths. And then from here, I'm gonna try something, because I think it might feel good right now. I'm gonna flip my toes back down, push my hips back. This is called dolphin pose. It might be too much for you in the beginning. You don't have to do it. For me, it feels really good. And again, I'm coming up on my toes here, and then I'm just kind of melting my heels back, not forcing anything. My heels are not anywhere near touching the mat right now. That felt good. I'm gonna come back, sit on to my shins. Below for you. I'm gonna move some energy around up top. So arms overhead, not squeezing my shoulders, just letting them melt. Feels really good. I'm gonna take my hands behind me and come into sort of what I call easy camel pose. Pushing my shoulders behind me. Feels good right now. Nothing too aggressive. Coming forward onto my hands, flipping my toes, pushing my hips back for downward facing dog. I'm gonna raise my right leg here. Just come forward into kind of a runner's lunge and then push back. Feels really good. Then I'm gonna be gentle and drop that back knee. Bring that foot forward, line everything up. I'm squeezing my thighs together. I'm gonna take a little twist here, it feels really good. Coming back down, being gentle, so I'm moving back so I give space for my foot to come back. I'm gonna push back into the downward dog position, find the right position for me. I'm gonna raise my left side, pushing back onto my toes because it feels nice. Coming forward almost into a runner's plank. Dropping that back knee, giving myself room. My hips are very tight. Squeezing my inner thigh together and taking a twist here feels really good. Bringing my hand down, raising the back leg this time, stepping forward, dropping my knees into child's pose. Now, I'm gonna clasp my hands and come into a plank here, just to kind of feel a little bit strength. When I'm in plank, one of the best cues I've ever heard is to start kind of a little bit, your bottom in the air, come forward onto your forearms, and then tilt your pelvis towards your chest. And that kind of locks it all down. Breathing, and I would just hold that for about 10 seconds. I'm gonna come back to child's pose, sit back up onto my shins, take my left hand down, just raise my right hand, take a twist here, other side, take a twist. Okay, now I'm gonna, on my tippy toes, walk my feet up, drop my bottom down gently, come into a butterfly stretch. Playing with my posture, feels really good. I'll go into an L sit here, check in with my low back, see where I am touching my toes. If I can, bringing my forearms onto my shins feels nice right now. That's really it. It's just about 5 minutes. Meet you an easy sit here. And I actually got a little sweat, use my breath a little bit. Instantly, my brain feels kind of aerated. I don't know what the technical word, oxygenated. Whatever was on my mind leading up to that little flow is now gone, because what I decided to do was show up for myself, show up when I needed to show up. And sometimes just showing up is all that I need to do. I'm not super particular about doing a very aggressive flow. Sometimes that might be better. Sometimes I just need to breathe and move a little bit. So that's a perfect example of that. When we're doing yoga, it forces us to be present. It forces us to listen to our bodies and not our minds, because let's be honest, for many of us, especially with specific issues, our mind is not always honest. Our mind lies sometimes, frankly, and our body does not. So yoga is forcing us to listen to our bodies in a really tangible way, intentional way. And if I ever figure out how to do this a little better, the more aggressive the flows and holding poses teaches us how to be comfortable in discomfort, how to be comfortable, uncomfortable. Basically, I think the best way would be to say that, or being present in discomfort. So sometimes we'll go into an aggressive pose or hold a pose for a while, just to feel something and to sit in that feeling, as long as we're not injuring ourselves or doing something crazy that we shouldn't be doing. It teaches us how to listen to our bodies. It teaches us to breathe, maybe even deeper when we're uncomfortable. If we stop breathing, we lose our balance, we lose our alignment, and everything kind of goes out of whack. There's a difference between holding a pose or concentrating on it and feeling it. So any of the movements I've shown you, you can hold a little longer or make a little more difficult. But today's purpose for me was just to talk about showing up for yourself, showing up on your mat, showing up with your breath, showing up in your body, being present, forgetting about whatever it was that was driving me crazy or working me into a bad mood, and just kind of start breathing and moving intentionally. In the beginning, just breathing was hard for me. Meditation was hard for me, so I had to include the movement, and I still love both. But as I have become more comfortable just being present to the breathing and sitting still in meditation, I kind of go back and forth. But yoga in the beginning was life-saving for me because it forced me to be present. It forced me to breathe. It forced me to listen to my body. And sometimes, many times, it brought me to my knees, and that was okay because there's no judgment, there's no failure. There's many times when I can't hold a pose because I just don't have it on that day. Or there's many times I'll sit down, or pull out my yoga mat and get started, and 2 minutes into it, I don't have it, and there's no judgment. I will say those times become less frequently the more trained I am to practice, but I just want to encourage you today to show up. And if that means buying a yoga mat or sitting on your yoga mat and just pondering doing yoga or meditation, or listening to your body and not just your mind. Okay? Have a great day.